Peace and blessings, family, is yours truly. I am the founder of El Kebalan Unity Alliance. Yours truly, Amar Amari, where we focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. Additionally, the knowledge of self. And on tonight, we're going to have Popp the Rippa on the platform tonight. Facebook Live. Our brother came on the platform last time. He opened up for a lot of mainstream artists. And we're getting ready to bring this brother on as we talk about the hip hop culture. Our brother's going to break it down to us. On this evening, thank everybody for tuning in on this evening. For everybody who is on here right now, my good brother Daryl Speaks, King Deshaun Gibson, who's doing great things, a young motivational speaker, entrepreneur, making moves in the community. I had him on before on the platform. Yeah, how you doing, son? You know, it's such a wonderful, a beautiful thing, you know, being able to impact our young people, such as himself. So Deshaun, we send a shout out to him. My brother is going to college to pursue his degree in the higher education. We're very proud of him. Young man has African pride. He's reaching out and touching a lot of people his age, life, and adults. So, you know, we send a salute out to the young king on this evening. Salute my brother, Black Excellence in the building. All right, everybody, so just bear with me for one moment. Get ready to bring our brother on here shortly. We just got to get him on here. Once we get him on here, then we be able to rock and roll. Anyway, we know how hip hop affects the community, and so that's what we're going to be talking about this evening. It's very important. It's a very you know, powerful movement. And so trying to bring our brother on here real quick. Now technology is family, so just bear with us real quick. Hey, Pop, send me a request if you would. Cause your camera is not even showing up. All right, family, we are now in the building. How you doing, brother?
All right, good, bro. We got it figured out.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Well, as I was saying, family, this is Pop the Ripper. He is the CEO of Ice Entertainment. Ice is actually an acronym. My brother, if you would, talk to us about the acronym and tell us how, you came up with that name, man. After you introduce yourself.
All right, sure, no problem. So, um, basically, it's actually Ice Squad, Ice Squad Entertainment, and the Ice stands for three core principles, which is integrity, character, and excellence. Basically, it's actually let me mute that right there. Okay, so yeah, integrity, character, and excellence. That is the what the acronym ICE stands for. And they're very significant principles because one, we feel that that is exactly what's missing in the entertainment industry today, primarily in urban music, is those three principles: integrity, character, and excellence. Therefore, that's what we are here to bring as I Squad Entertainment. Our whole mission and agenda, of course, is to be very successful entities in urban music, but also at the same time, we want to be a tool to be able to change the narrative on how urban music is created, presented, and marketed. Because we know that the media, kind of is one directional, one dimensional with what they put out as far as black music. Primarily, hip hop and R&B is really shifted more towards the negative when originally that was never the intent.
Indeed.
And somehow, some way, we allowed that to happen right under our nose, and we thank them for it
Hmm.
with our dollars. You get what I'm
Indeed.
saying? And we promoted
Absolutely.
it. We helped push that agenda,
Hmm.
you know, to the point to where now it's like almost like an unstoppable machine, you know. And so you pretty much got two choices in an instance like that. You know, as a black entertainer, if when you see the downfall, you see the degradation, you know, of our music, you have two choices at that point. You can either join them, or you can stand up for what's right and show some integrity, and do it totally different, you know,
Absolutely.
regardless of what's popular. And that is the position that we have taken at Ice Squad Entertainment. We have taken the position of putting out music that is gonna be entertaining and enjoyable, but at the same time, it's gonna be positive. It's gonna be something that is not gonna put black people in a negative light. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's gonna show us as the leaders, the role models, the kings and queens that we are. You know, because that's not being represented right now in hip hop culture.
That's definitely a fact. You know, and I also love the fact that, you know, you are influencing the younger generation. From my knowledge, you guys have a release party going on for one of your artists, and if you would, you know, tell us the young man's name and the date and the time, and you know, so we could tune in and be a support to these young people who's doing something positive in the community, like young King Deshaun Gibson out there.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely, and you're absolutely correct. You know, we are definitely targeting the next generation. Why? Because they are the ones that's going to carry the mantle, you know, for years to come when it comes to putting out our music. You understand? So, um, usually when new artists come out, they have a frame of reference. You know what I mean? When they decide what they want to do musically, they always have a frame of reference that they go by, and usually that's typically the artist that came before them. So
Mm-hmm. Fact.
if you're a rapper, then you're going to be, your frame of reference is going to be rappers that preceded you. You know what I mean? That came before
Mm-hmm.
you. So, you know, we want to be that example so that when the next generation come around of rappers, they look back to find out, okay, who should we model ourselves after? Now they have options. You know what I'm saying? They have
Indeed.
options because right now the market is so oversaturated with negative images from rappers and hip hop and the hip hop community as a whole, that any new young person that decides they want to rap, in their mind, that's the blueprint, because that's what's being presented. That's what looks to be successful. And it looks like nobody is really offering anything else. So we want to be that option where they could say, well, you know what? I see what these guys over here are doing. And you know, and I know it's not really who I am, you know, in my conscious state,
Mm-hmm.
but I can look at Ice Squad and everything that came out of that camp and see another option on how to do this rap thing. So we have a young man on our label, as part of our team. One of our artists, his name is Ramel the Youngster.
Mm-hmm.
Ramel the Youngster. That's ROMMELTHA Youngster. YOUNGSTA. And Ramel is the youngest member on the team.
Mm.
um yeah, he's only like 22 years old.
Wow.
We
Awesome.
we
Awesome.
signed him right out of high school. We signed him right out of high school, and immediately he latched on to the ICE principles, which is
Mm.
why me as a CEO, I was very happy to bring him on board, because you know, it's very hard to find young people who are willing to be different and
Mm-hmm.
to be you know, on a different wave other than their peers. You know what I'm saying? But
Definitely.
Ramel he's a leader. He is a very intelligent young man who believes in positivity, believes in doing the right thing. He's a
Mm-hmm.
God-fearing man. He even check this out, even at 22 years old, he's already married. He's
Wow.
all He's already married. Like I said,
Salute,
he
young
is
king, if you're listening out there. Shout out to you, brother.
already right.
Shout out to you, king.
He's already married. Like I said, he is you know, way ahead of his time. And it ain't even a
Indeed.
situation where typically you'll see a young man do something like that when maybe the young lady is pregnant and he's trying to, you know, do the right thing, so to speak. But they don't even have children.
Mm.
He just he just you know did he just you know stood up as a man and said, listen, I'm not just going to keep you hanging around forever as my girlfriend. I want to be your husband. And
Wow.
so I admired that off rip because I know at his age I definitely wasn't thinking about that. You know.
Yeah, I was actually married
You
during that
were?
age myself. Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Well,
man.
that's hey,
No,
cool.
living by, like, like you said, moral principles, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I had a lot of men. I've been fortunate. I had a lot of men that look like us in my life. That's why I love doing what you and I are doing. Because I'll be
Mm.
lying if I said that I've never seen a imagery of what quote unquote black love looks like. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Because I seen that with my auntie and my uncle and my grandmother and also my friends' parents. You know, they were
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, fortunate to grow up in two-parent homes as well. You know what I'm saying? And all these men, to be frank with you, bro, all the men who I knew that are like that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, back in New York is morals. You know what I'm saying? Morals that they follow. You know what I'm saying? All of them are spiritual, bro. Every that
Oh,
I
you
promise
good.
you, family, everybody that I know that's grounded like that are following after moral principles.
Right.
Whether they're through the Islam, whether they're Christian, you know what I'm saying, whether they're Orthodox Muslim, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
or whether or not they just spiritual, man, all of them have that foundation in their life, man.
And that is so important. And I don't really know like exactly who his examples was prior to me meeting him, but I've met his family, and they're all beautiful, loving, God-fearing people. So I can imagine that he had a lot of good examples around him. And I thought that was very admirable because, like I said, my eyes wasn't really open till later on in life. You know what I mean? I kind of caught on
No
late
doubt.
as far as who I really was, you know,
No
as an
doubt.
individual. I was kind of still trying to figure it out or be other people, you know, instead of being
Mm,
myself. So, you
mm.
know, you know, I can confess that around that time I was a womanizer. So I was not really thinking like that. But, you know, by the grace of God, he has renewed my mind and I no longer look at our queens, you know, as objects. You
All
understand?
praise.
So,
Give thanks.
yeah. So I'm definitely on that. I'm about the family life, for real.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah, so
definitely my queen, brother. Indeed, man.
yeah.
I was very fortunate, bro, because I never looked at women like that. Real talk. And it was because of my grandfather literally
Mm-hmm.
mentoring me, man. And see, that's what I love
Mm-hmm.
about what you're doing.
Yep.
And it's a lot of you that are young. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm 42 years old. I'll be 43 years old this year. I don't mind telling my age. I'm happy. I almost got shot, twice point blank range when I was in the streets. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful to be alive. And I had, you know, wise men in my life. I just made the wrong choices, man. So
Right.
I have to say that because so many times we like to blame it on the home. You understand? But, that is a part of the problem. But
Mm-hmm.
the child is still left with a choice after the parents teach them. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? Right from wrong. Because my
Yep.
mother, she taught me about, crime and not doing, wrong and not being incarcerated to avoid staying away from certain crowds, right? But
Mm-hmm.
Amar did what he wanted to do.
Tell me
You
about it.
understand, you know what I'm saying? So I have to be
Mm-hmm.
honest about that. Like my mother, she raised me right. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I grew up in a single parent home, that's another reason why I also don't agree with that a woman can't do it. Now, it is better for both parents to be there in the household, however. My mother taught me how to be a man, and nothing feminine about me at all. I grew up around women, understand, and none of them, you know, uh, encouraged me to be feminine whatsoever, you know, and they raised me to be a strong man. But still, I had a positive influence, man. So let's talk about that tonight. You know,
Yeah.
let's dive into that because you know this is what this is about. Because you know, just like you said earlier, I like what you said. I captured what you said. And it was very potent that they had other rappers that influenced them prior to them becoming a rapper. And see, you one of the first ones I actually heard like really confess it. Like a lot of them in the interview, they'll talk about who did it, but when it comes to accountability time, they throw their hands in the air. You know what I'm saying? It's like throwing a rock and hiding it. You know, they don't want
Yep.
to man up or woman up to the fact that they influence the culture.
Right. It's almost like it's almost like something that they just kind of want to hope nobody really digs too deep on. But and if they continue to put out great music and great entertainment, you know, people will kind of like overlook it. And for the most part, that's what happens. So when you get to sit down with an artist and really dive into the fact, you know, the truth of the matter, it is a very uncomfortable conversation because it's obvious the power and influence that the music has. And when you're on the wrong side of that, that's not a good spot to be in. And then what we naturally do when we're called to the carpet like that is we start trying to figure out how to deflect from the issue by pointing the blame other places. You know what I mean? Like we want to say the first thing people say, because I've been dealing with this issue for many years, and I can tell you it's the same conversation, it's the same excuses over and over again. See, I can be real with myself, which is why I'm able to fight on this side because I can one that the choices I made in my life when I was running the streets was my choices, not my parents' choices.
Right.
My parents loved me and they did the best they could. But when I walked off that porch and I walked outside, I was in a different element and I chose to follow the element.
No
you
doubt.
Understand? And at the same time, too,
there go the truth. Somebody's telling it.
You got to put it. Hey, speak the truth, man. The truth shall set you free. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm free and I'm able to talk about it because I'm a new man and I'm free. You know what I mean? I could talk about this. So while I'm out there in the streets doing different things that I know is not right, there's a soundtrack to that lifestyle. There's a soundtrack to it, right? There's a soundtrack to it. And the soundtrack of it is hip hop. Hip hop is the music of the streets. Hip hop is the voice of the streets. Hip hop is where young people and adults, you know, who we go to experience, you know, that life through the music. Yes. Now, if you are now, and you can, and it can go two ways. You can be on the outside. You can have an external experience from listening, being on the outside of that world and experiencing it through the music, or you can actually be right there in it, and the music is actually your motivation. The music is motivating you. The music is training you. The music is teaching you. It's an experiential experience that you're having. It's like you're kind of being like instructed through the lyrics on exactly what to do and how to do it, how to think, how to operate. And see, that's why people who are not in that element tend to look at it so confused as, how can music influence you? What are you talking about? It's just music. Yeah, to you, because you live in the suburbs, or you got a good job, or you know what I mean? Your family upbringing is different than Ray and them.
Hey, Popp, let's talk about that, because it's people even in the suburbs that emulate the hip hop artists. You know?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They even want to be hip hop. Because a lot of people don't understand it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. And you gotta admit, man, as a black man, even people who are not black have to admit that all around the world, black people are deemed as cool. We got the coolest swag in the world, which is why everybody try to emulate us.
No doubt. We the best dressers, we the best singers, we the best dancers.
sports,
Acting.
athletes, everything. You know, so people envy that. They may not like us, you know, from a racist or white supremacist standpoint, but when it comes to you know, just being a down to earth individual, they steal a lot of our swag, you
No
know,
doubt.
and so they emulate it. But that influence has boundaries that they have in place for them. Like it's certain things that they won't do. Like they may dress like us, they may talk like us, but they not finna go rob no bank.
No doubt.
They not finna go stick nobody up. They not finna go sell no drugs.
Right.
You know what I mean? They
Right.
not finna pull no.
Absolutely.
They ain't finna hit no licks. They ain't finna pull no triggers. They'll dress like it. They'll rap up. They'll, you know, sing the lyrics and they'll talk the talk. But they ain't finna do all that. But Ray, Boo Boo, them, they will.
No
They will
doubt.
do it. That
Indeed.
that motivates them to actually execute. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
What's being talked about. And how do I know this? How do I know this? Amir, I know this because I was that kid. That's why I don't entertain the conversations of deflection when we try to put it off on everything outside of the music, because it all plays a part. It's not just the music, but you cannot deny the fact that there are certain young people that absolutely positively will be influenced by the lyrics. No,
Bro,
it's
let me
not
let me share this.
everybody,
Let
but
me
it
share
will
this.
be some people.
Let me share this, man. I talked to a brother the other day, and he literally said that Tupac was like his spiritual father. You know what I'm saying? He's a hip
Okay.
hop artist too. His name is Blasphemy Brother Jasir. You know what I'm saying? And him and I talked about that, and he said that. He
Right,
literally said, because his
right.
father was absent, you know, that Tupac had began to raise him. And he said he read Malcolm X literature. He read Farrakhan literature. And he said, peace and blessings be upon Malcolm X. And he said that they became his fathers. You know what I'm saying? Literally, he said they are the ones who all combined together had influenced his mindset. He said both positive and negative. Now, this is another hip hop artist, bro,
Yeah.
that literally confessed this. This man does this for a living too. And he literally said this with his own mouth.
I can attest. I can attest to that. Tupac was a huge influence on me. See, I came up in the era where the West Coast, I was there like when the West Coast first jumped off as actually being acknowledged, because when I first got into hip hop, it was all about the East Coast, and it wasn't real hip hop unless it was coming from the East.
New York, baby.
New York, yeah, NY. Shout out to NY. Shout out to NY.
New York,
And
baby.
and I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna show you how powerful it is, because when the East Coast was pretty much the primary source of hip hop music, there was a lot of conscious brothers that was on the mic. There was a lot
Indeed.
of brothers that was pushing black pride, community, peace, love amongst your brother. You remember everybody wanted to wear dashikis. We wearing the
KRS
African,
One.
huh?
KRS One. Chuck D.
KRS-One, Chuck D, all those
The
guys, like
X
that's
Clan.
who was leading the march. That's who was leading the march. So guess what? The community followed.
No
The
doubt.
young people followed, which is why you saw people with the African medallions, the
Yeah.
power fist medallions.
Yeah.
They were so proud of their heritage, and it was
No
all
doubt.
about what can I do to be a strong, positive black man or woman in my community. Why? Because that's the direction that the music was leading us. You know what I mean? Yes,
That's right, bro.
we had our party tracks because you got to have a fun element in it, but they were
No
still
doubt.
able to have a fun but yet
Yeah.
be positive. And
Right.
guess what? The whole culture shifted with them. Fast forward to now, the West Coast now is making noise. Okay, the
Yeah.
West
Yeah.
Coast is making noise. Now all of a sudden, I want to put my fist up, right? And now, boom! Oh snap! NWA done popped off. Easy E, Ice Cube, Ice T. Oh word, it's dope to be a gangster. Oh, being a gangster is cool? Oh, hold up. Oh, this music is dope. So guess what? My fist turned into a middle finger, or my fist turned into a hand holding a pistol. Why? Because that became what was popping. That
That's
became
deep.
what was popular. You
Yeah, that's
understand?
deep.
So as the culture shifted, every young person that was deep into the culture and fans of the culture shifted with it, especially in the urban communities.
Mm-hmm.
Because these men who are rappers, what did they tell us? That they told us they were from the same streets that we were from. They
No
didn't
doubt.
tell us that they didn't tell us that they were from somewhere else that we don't recognize or understand. They pretty much made us feel like they was our neighbor. So they knew what time it was. And they had the money, they had the fame, they had success, they had the women, they had everything that young black guys dream about.
Indeed.
So those became our role models. So guess what? Now because the West Coast is popping off, now being a gangster became popular. And then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it started phasing out from the positivity that was coming from the East Coast. You know what I
Indeed.
mean? And then what happens now? It's like, okay, who can be the biggest gangster?
Yeah,
So now
man.
a lot of the conscious brothers started
Yeah,
fading out, and now you're seeing gangsters on both sides because everybody
yeah.
wanted to prove who was the biggest gangster. And then
Now they use it.
when Tupac came on the scene, he became the face. He became like the captain. He became the general of thug life,
Yeah,
and
man.
everybody followed suit. And you cannot tell me that did not happen because I lived it and I experienced it.
Yeah.
Why is it
When that's
today?
actually an acronym too. That was actually an acronym that he used, the thug. It was an acronym.
I've heard that. I've heard that. But ask yourself this, brother. How many people actually knew that and followed that? Very few.
Oh,
Very
true
few.
indeed. True indeed. I
Very,
agree. I agree.
you know.
I just like to highlight, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, the historicity of it. You know what I mean?
I can,
Because a lot of
I can,
people don't know really that it was an acronym. You know
I
what I'm saying?
completely, I feel you. I
You know,
completely
but
feel
of
you.
course, of course it don't, overshadow the fact that, he was beefing with Biggie.
Exactly.
And
And
start
the
saying F
imagery.
his wife, and I did this to your wife, and you know what I'm saying, and it got nasty right there, man. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That beef got nasty, you know what I'm
Exactly. And you
saying,
got to
and it
understand
got
too.
murderous.
Right. We are visual beings. Like we learn from what we see. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Hearing what we hear plays a part, but primarily what we see. Just like a child when they're growing up, they start having our mannerisms and doing what we do because they learn visually, right? So
indeed.
even if it something stands for something else, the imagery behind it is what is going to stick in the minds of the majority of people, the imagery. So if the imagery is pistols in the air, shirts off, we ready to fight, I'ma kill you, nobody's thinking about a positive acronym of thug. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Because
no doubt, no doubt.
imagery represented what the actual dictionary describes as a thug. You feel me?
Oh yeah,
So that's
most
what we
definitely.
followed as young people. And
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
it amazes me how today people tend to think that those principles have changed. You know what I mean? The same influence that was around then is still prevalent today. So whatever we're putting out is what the generation of that era is going to follow. And we can see clearly just by turning on our TVs, turning on our radio to see what imagery hip hop music is primarily putting out right now. And it's no different than the gangster era. Only difference now is it's more about being a drug addict instead of a drug dealer, which either way is still bad, but it's still very negative and it's giving our young people a really bad outlook on what it means to be a young black man or even an adult black man.
You know what? You know what you're saying is so true, because if you listen to the song with Nipsey Hussle and YG, you know what I'm saying? And YG said in that song, last time that I checked, right? He said that Nip taught them to be something, but he said, YG said, but I taught you to say female dog. You see what I'm saying? And if you listen to his songs, majority of his songs, he is degrading women, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about YG. You know what
I
I'm
know,
saying?
I know,
Now,
I
now
know.
I came front. I know Nip did use the word here and there too. However, you know what I do like about what Nip did before he actually transitioned was that he started focusing on the positive things. He started understanding that I have a very powerful. He said this with his own mouth. You know, he said I
Mm-hmm.
recognize how much of an influence I have. You know,
Mm,
on the young people because of those who influence me. Now
exactly.
he said this. Nip said that with his own mouth, and he said,
And
"So
that's
I
why.
wanted to take my power, and I wanted to empower the community." You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Now look at what Nip talked about in dedication with Kendrick Lamar. That
mm-hmm.
song he talked about dedication. You know what I'm saying? Then he talked about, double up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's talking about, hustling and grinding and how people was taking him as a joke. You know what I'm saying? This man literally said, I wore the same clothes and I poured it back into my business. He taught us how to hustle honestly. He taught
Exactly.
cooperative economics, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And what happened when Nip started talking like that? And let's put Jay-Z in there now. Of course, that's
That's
you
what I
and
was
I
gonna
era,
say.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
444 album. So many people want to talk negative about that album,
They
and that's
slept
our
on that.
problem too. We get so negative. But the truth is, he was dropping some jewels in there.
Yep.
He was talking about how he bought a painting for so much money and then it matured. Then he talked about how he was a fool overlooking buying a property that at that time, you know what I'm saying, it was only worth this much. Then he said, man, if I had invested in it, it would have matured. The equity would have, increased. And I would have been able, you know what I'm saying, to have hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I passed that up.
Right.
So
And that's
now
why I
why
got
is
so
it
much
now you
respect.
see a lot of the millennials now shifting towards, being financially stable. Now him
Mm-hmm.
and his queen, although they had their disagreement, but now him and his queen come together and they became billionaires.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So now you
Right.
seeing a hip hop couple who is wealthy, you know what I'm saying, who's doing albums together, who is raising their family together, you know what I'm saying, making money together. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
now you see the black love starting to germinate more just because of these icons. Talk
Right.
talk to us, man. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and
So
breathe,
so
man. Let us know what you're feeling.
well, that what you mentioned is absolutely true, and that's one reason why I have the utmost respect for Nipsey. I got the utmost respect for Jay-Z, and I love what Nipsey became because he was exactly what hip hop needs. You know what I mean? People need
No
to
doubt.
see that transition. People need to
Indeed.
see that transition, and that's a lot of the problem is that we talk so much about the bad things that we've done in our lives in the music, but we never show a transition of growth. That's why you got some artists been in the game for 30 years and they still talking about the same thing they was talking about when they was 17 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's no transition to growth. But
Indeed.
you got people like Jay-Z who grew and his music grew with him. And that is what naturally should happen because rappers are famous for always talking about how real they are, keeping it real. I'm real, which is another thing that makes it so dangerous because unlike the I would say unlike the pop singer, unlike the country singer, unlike the jazz musician or gospel or whatever you want to call it, the rapper whole career, the whole strength and power behind a rapper's career
All right, my brother.
We back? Okay. There we go. All right. So I was saying, for a rapper, the whole strength and power behind their career is convincing the audience that everything they're saying is their actual life. Is that it is their reality. Because if a rapper if it's ever discovered that a rapper is talking about something that is fake or something they're not really doing, they're now going to receive backlash from the fans. So they, even if they're not doing what they're talking about, they have to give off the impression that they are. And that's so dangerous, because a rapper has to do that in order to stay relevant and continue their career prospering. They have to, if you coming out with gangster music and you saying that you'll do this and you done this and you shoot your gun every day and all this stuff, you got to make your audience really believe that's who you are, because now you're going to look like a fraud. Whereas other genres of music, the audience is it's very clear to the audience that these are just songs that were written that I'm singing. You understand? But with rappers, that's not the perception. The perception is these are my words, my thoughts, my life that I actually put on wax, and this is my real life. So respect, I'm gaining respect based off the fact that this is real. So they have to continue to push that agenda in order to be successful, which is why it's so dangerous.
Chuck D, I respect Chuck D, because I remember he said that, they fought him about his lyrical content.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He said that with his own mouth. He said that they was refuting to push the lyrical content that he was pushing.
Right.
And also, I commend KRS-One. We need that back, man. We really need that back, because I believe that gangster rap is a weapon of mass destruction.
It is.
It is so obvious. First and foremost, let me say this, because a lot of people want to, talk about that drugs and crime existed before, hip hop even came out. Okay, for those of you who have that mindset, some things are without saying. But I'm gonna help those of you who say this. I want to help you understand this. We know, okay? The realization is, and it is a fact, check your history books, all right? And I'm not talking about like the ones you read in school. I'm talking about the records. Check the hip hop records, okay? You'll see that it's the truth. Drugs and crime and alcoholism intensified in our community when gangster rap came out.
Of course.
It intensified.
Of course.
It became an enabler for fatherless homes. You know what I'm saying? It became an enabler for teenage pregnancy and doing drugs.
Say that.
Because in the videos, what do they have? They have marijuana, they have alcoholism, you know what I'm saying? They even have, sensuality, promiscuous women in there. You got women on women in the videos, and you know what I'm saying? So all of these things is bombarding our youth mind, and then we're wondering why our young people are so messed up mentally. It's because of what they're depositing. They're literally intoxicating themselves with this toxic, parasitic mindset. Go ahead, talk to us, man.
You know what I call that, brother? I call that psychological warfare. Psychological warfare.
Indeed.
One thing that I've realized, because there's two books that have really transformed my mindset and my life, which is one, the Holy Bible, and two, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. The Art of War kind of showed me the plots and the plans and strategy of this spiritual war that we're in, because it is a spiritual war, and those who are behind the scenes that are profiting from it are very crafty. Understand that what we see right now in our communities as a result of the hip hop culture and the hip hop music that has come out it was a long range plan. It was by design. It was a long range plan. Where we are right now, this is exactly where they saw us being as a people way back when gangster rap first jumped off. I'm talking about the powers that be that wanted to profit off of our demise. They knew that this music would be the catalyst to that outcome. So one thing about psychological warfare is that it is one of the easiest ways to win a battle against your enemy. Why? Because when you have a strong plan of psychological warfare, you're able to, you don't even have to lift a finger, because your enemy will destroy their own selves and be glad that they did it. They will be thinking that they're doing themselves a favor, while at the same time they're actually destroying themselves and creating their own downfall. And
No
that's
doubt.
what they did with hip hop. They didn't have to come into our communities anymore with white sheets and burning crosses and nooses and all. They didn't have to do that. Why? Because they already initiated a plan of psychological warfare to cause us to destroy our own selves. Because why? They realized that as much black pride as we had in the 60s and the 70s, they realized the one thing that can distract us from that, and that's money.
Yes.
Money. Money
Yes,
and
man.
power.
Talk
Money
about
and
it, bro.
power can distract
Indeed.
them from this agenda, because
Absolutely.
they are
Absolutely.
they're living in poverty and we're not. So let's see who's willing to push our agenda for this money. So
Yeah.
now you got guys from the projects who ain't never seen $1,000 in their life getting record deals for 100,000, 250,000,
Bruh,
and
you
now
saying
today
something.
$1 million ain't nothing. It's like you go from 1 minute eating ramen noodles and wearing the same clothes every other day to now somebody drop $1 million in your lap. You think you're not gonna go sell out your people? The average person will. The average
Indeed.
person who does not have enough integrity will,
Right.
because they're thinking about the immediate gain and immediate
There you go.
results.
That's
They
it.
may not be able to sleep well at night later down the road, but immediately they're going to take that money and they're going to push what the labels tell them to push. And who's at the top? Who's at the top of these labels? It's not us.
No
It's
doubt.
not us.
No
It's not
doubt.
us. It's
Hmm.
people who've already set up stocks and bonds and businesses for their children. People who make sure their children are in a totally different experience and environment, who will not
Right.
even come close to being affected by this music. So therefore, they don't have a dog in the fight. They don't have any personal attachment to it. So it's easy for them to tell that young black guy could go out there and push this music about selling drugs, using drugs, and killing your own people,
Wow.
because it's making money and I want some of that money. So here's $1 million. Go pump this out because this is what's selling. And
Bruh,
guess what? They signing those contracts by the droves.
you said
You
something
feel me?
very significant. You said something very significant right there, because I remember Too Short. Too Short
Mm-hmm.
said the same exact thing that you're talking about right now. He said
Yep.
that they literally told him if he make the filthiest, they told make the filthiest record that he can make. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Too Short said this with his own mouth.
I remember
That
that.
he's not, he said, I'm not a pimp. He said, I
Mm-hmm.
was just rapping. I never forget. It was on, um, it was on this program. It was called, there's rules to this, SHIT. All right.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And he said that. He said that. He said this girl will not date him, and the family did not want him to have nothing to do with her because the lyrics in his song. And he
I
said,
can imagine.
I don't really, he said this like, I don't really do it. He said, it's just music. But like you said, man, it's not just, it's not
It's
just
not just
music. And
it's not
that's
just
where
music.
I think where the mental warfare come in at, fam. Because a lot of our brothers and sisters, unfortunately, are weak-minded.
Yep.
And no fault of their own. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like you said, it's been designed that way. For us to love money more than we love ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And and,
Mm-hmm.
and, it's obvious that it's a programming to think that living that type of life, a corrupt life, is cool. But when you and I grew up, you know, and I know it, when KRS-One, the X-Clan, Chuck D, you know what I'm saying? The Poor Righteous Teachers.
Poor Righteous Teachers, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and you had Arrested Development, right?
Yeah.
You
Shout
know,
out to my home speech.
So, you know, you had all of them who was about doing something positive.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But see, now let me tell you what the oxymorons was. When NWA did self-destruction, and then after that, they went right back to doing gangster rap. You understand? You know,
and
so
you know what? And that always perplexed me, because here's the thing. The East Coast did a self-destruction record, and the West Coast did one, right? I'm a lyricist, so I was listening. Everything the East Coast put out was positive. Everything the East Coast put out was pushing that agenda to, listen, stop the violence, stop the killing. When you listen to the West Coast version of that, right, they were still trying to put little seeds of in there to be gangsters and to kill it. Like if you listen to Eazy-E's verse, for example, when you get a chance, go on YouTube and listen to it. He never once said not to do it. He said I'ma do what I want to do, so to speak. I'm just paraphrasing. I'ma do what I want to do, and if you follow me, you stupid. You know what I mean? But if somebody try you, you know, you gotta kill him. But it's like he was kind of contradicting the whole movement. But what they was trying to do is just show that the West Coast had a version too about it. You got to realize, man, that these guys have been paid tons of money to keep this image. Too Short, I've heard Too Short say where he got turned down by the record company when he submitted Positive Records. He said, no, we don't want that. You have to do another album full of pimps and hoes. Push that. And the sad part about it is once you open that Pandora's box, as a rapper, you have to keep it going. You have to keep it going, even outside of the music. Think about it like this. Remember I said about the imagery. Too Short, although knowing he did not really want to put that image out, when he was not on the mic, he still had to carry himself like a pimp, right or wrong. He still had to carry that image so that when the public sees him, they continue to believe this is who he really is. This is his life, so that they can continue to buy those records. So that's what I said with rappers. It's a trap. Once you sign your name in blood and you make a deal with the devil like that, you cannot just escape. I think Jay-Z is probably one of the very few, Jay-Z and probably DMX is probably one of the very few that was able to really just take a stand and shift their whole imagery and shift their whole message. But that's only because they're only a couple of people. They're not going to let a huge amount of people do that unless we boycott the music, unless we take a stand and boycott. We can stop people from buying polo. We can stop people from buying polo, but we can't. You think we can't stop people from pushing negative music to our people? We can. We just don't want to stand up for that because it's too much money in it for us. That's the problem. That is the problem.
Yeah, it's that love of money, man. You know, and you know what I thought about? You know, it shows character. Because think about a homeless person, man. You know, one day I just sat down and I meditated on that. You know how a homeless person, they're hungry. You know, they don't have a specific dwelling place. They live under bridges. They live in cardboard boxes. You know what I'm saying? But have you ever thought about this yet? And still they'll come to you and they'll beg of you to give them something. You know what I'm saying? You know, they even have a sign, I will work for food.
Work for food.
You understand? You know what I'm saying? So it shows you that it's the power of the mind, man. When you have a homeless person, now we just grew up on welfare. We were still able to eat. A lot of us really exaggerate. You know, some of us had something to eat. It just wasn't a whole lot, but we ate.
A whole lot,
you know
but it was something.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I mean? So the truth is, it was really just that greed, man. It's like that glamorous life, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why we're so materialistic. Unbeknownst to a lot of us, it seeps into our subconscious. And we
Mm-hmm.
become that way because that's all we're being sold is the
Exactly.
jewels, the mansions, the Bentleys, you know what I'm saying, the Lamborghinis, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, you know, the double R's, you know, if I haven't already mentioned that, the Maseratis and etc. You know, lifestyles of the rich and famous, MTV cribs, and you know what I'm saying? So that's
Mm-hmm.
all we're seeing, and that's what we stamp as the good life. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
because that's what we've been sold. We've been sold that this is the good life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When in all actuality, the good life is you raising your children right, you being faithful to your queen. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You keeping your family together. You protecting your people. You protecting your neighborhood. You keeping your neighborhood clean. You know, you going to pursue a higher education, getting your degree, taking your practice back to your neighborhood, you know, and
Right.
building back up your community. You
Right.
understand? You know what I'm saying? That's
Exactly.
if that was sold as being cool, then that's the way we would move.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fact,
Exactly.
like you said it yourself. We dressed according to the hip hop culture. We had African pride, you know, medallions on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, and you know, we dressed with our dashikis, you know, we had the Afrocentric pride,
Pride.
you know, because that's
Right.
what was considered to be what? The
Cool.
fad. That's what's
That
in.
was
But see, that's the problem. Like we made culture a fad rather than a lifestyle.
a lifestyle.
You know, this a
Exactly.
lifestyle, man.
Exactly. And it goes back to the truth of the word of God, man. In the Bible it says, everybody know this scripture, the love of money is the root of all evil. I know a lot of people say money, but it really says, it doesn't say that. It says the love of money, because there ain't nothing wrong with money. You can accomplish a lot with money, but when you love money so much, more than your people, more than your community, even more than God, there's nothing you won't do. There's nothing you won't do. And those
Fact,
are the people that the
fact.
industry has targeted to push the agendas that are detrimental to our people. You understand? So, like, you know, there was a time I remember when the black radio stations were private. They were private stations, majority of them, and they were able to push their own narrative. They were the voice of the community. If you wanted to hear about what was going on in our community, you turned to the black radio station. If there was something powerful and positive that was going on, even with music, the black radio stations would pump it in the community. Fight the power, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
a baby, or keep your head, different things. They would get behind that and push that. Now it's like they're puppets, man. I meet with radio stations all the time. I'm in all these different meetings and these different conversations where we're talking about the problem of the music and the imagery that is put out. And the sad part is they all agree with me. This is what hurts me the most, brother, is they all agree with me that, yeah, it's bad, it's a problem, it's really a bad influence on the young people, but they still playing it 24/7.
Exactly.
And I say, well, why y'all playing it? And they all tell me the same thing. Every single station says the same thing. They say, one, because I gotta pay the bills, the love of money. Two, they say because they don't have a choice. You understand? They'll lose their job. You understand? So it's like, when will our people become more important than a dollar? You know what I mean? And if we so afraid of losing money, why don't we just create our own? Go back to where we was running our own stations. Forget about being I forgot what they call it, for not synchronized, but you know what I'm saying? Like, when you basically, they under these big corporations, they under the umbrella of these big corporations, and they have to follow basically a certain program, and they're just one station of many. When you do it like that, everything comes from the top. You're gonna syndicate it. They're syndicated, right? So
Mhm.
everything comes from the top. So why put yourself in a position to where you know you're going to be a puppet and you're going to be poisoning your people, and knowing you don't want to do it? I talk to DJs all the time who say they hate some of the music they play. Why? How can you live like that? I can never work a job and do a career where I cannot live with myself and I know I'm doing the wrong thing. I don't care how much money they paying me. That's called integrity. which it goes back to the acronym. I told you that's what the game is missing. So that's what the squad is bringing: integrity, character, and excellence. When you have
No
integrity,
doubt.
there is no
No
amount of
doubt.
money that can make you sell your people out. There is no amount of money that can make you be an instrument of destruction for your own people. Just because you spinning the records don't mean your hand is clean. Just because you have a big corporation that you work for don't mean your hands is clean. You got a choice. You don't have to do it. Nobody put a gun to your head.
Wow.
So we need to go back to where we control the narrative. And we need to also, as a community and fans of hip hop, fans of black music and urban music and hip hop culture, we need to come together and take a stand and say enough is enough. These are your babies that they pumping this foolishness into. These are your grandchildren that they pumping this foolishness into. You not willing to take a stand for them? Yeah, you an adult and you feel like it's just music. Obviously, because you grown and you know how you done been through enough in life to know how to differentiate. But what about the young, impressionable mind that has not yet figured out even who they are?
They're
Or
afraid,
who may
man.
be living one life at home and another life in the streets? What about the child who is adopted or don't, or don't even have parents? Are you
Yeah.
willing to stand up for them? This is our mission. We want to create a whole movement to show that it can be done. We will not
That's right.
compromise for money and be an instrument of destruction for this next generation or our people. We refuse. It's
And
ICE for
I
life,
say love
integrity,
over money.
character, and excellence.
I say love over money, man. Love over money, man.
Absolutely.
Um, we have to go back to, moral principles, and the very thing that we despise. Our people perish for the lack of knowledge because, you know, they're not taught. And then also it says because they reject knowledge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the very thing that is our lifesaver, unfortunately, we despise because we've been taught that, it's not cool to be wise. It's not cool to live clean. We've been taught that living dirty is cool. And I understand why we're in the state that we're in. Because we've been programmed to think this way. We've been programmed to look at our women as female dogs. We've been programmed not to be faithful. When you have songs, even females like SZA, I'm calling them out so because that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? She weekend love. Like as I was saying, like SZA, she was talking about the female, she didn't mind being the weekend love. Oh, you could take care of him during the week. You know what I'm saying? Then, I take over on the weekend. We good with that. You know what I'm saying? It's like the immorality of even our women. You know what I'm saying? Like during my time, you had the Foxy Browns and the Little Kim. You know what I'm saying? Now let me just
Yeah.
keep it real because everything about old school is not clean. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You got the
It was a
one guy who was
progression.
talking about the one guy he was talking about I'll be your candy liquor. The other one talking about I'll be stroking. All right. Then you had Salt and Pepper where I push it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
It was
let's just
definitely
keep
a
it real.
progression.
Like, yeah, everything wasn't clean back in the day either. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
It was a progression. It was
No doubt,
definitely a progression. You know,
indeed. So that's
and
just
this is
where
the
we at.
thing. This is the reality that I have come to, brother, is that there's not ever going to be 100% change on and when it comes to this because everybody does not think the same. Everybody doesn't have the same level of morality or even pride for their people. So the only other option is if you can't change it to just create another choice. You understand?
Indeed.
And that's all
Indeed.
we're asking for. We're asking for another choice. Give these young people another choice. You play 50 records in rotation, okay, every day. You mean to tell me that you can't at least make 25 of those positive? You understand? So like that's what we're asking for. We're not asking for no miracle. We're not asking for people who could care less about the next generation or care less about even being a moral person to that they're going to change their ways. They got to have an encounter with God. We are just asking for there to be a level playing field because everybody's not on that. Everybody's not on that, but the media does not want to push the things that are beneficial to us. They create a blockade to where they don't want to pump that type of stuff, you know. And then it's like this: you can create good, positive music that's not damaging, and it still be fun. It still be
Exactly.
something you could dance to and have a good time. I give you
Yep.
a perfect example how they did it back in the day. African Bambaataa in the Zulu Nation. They made tons of music you could dance to and jam to, but you're never walking away feeling like you want to kill another black man. You'll never walk away from that party feeling like you want to rob somebody or you want to go sell some dope. You know what I'm saying? Or you want to disrespect black women. You don't get that, but you still can make a party record
Yeah.
that is something where it's not
Heavy D.
damaging. You know,
Heavy
so
D.
don't tell me it's not possible. Don't tell me, oh, people ain't gonna vibe with it. No, that's where the creativeness come in.
Mm-hmm.
Ice Squad Entertainment, we have found that formula. And our fans love it. They love the fact that we're able to make records that's dance records, party records. We make records that's deep and philosophical. We can also make stuff that's just straight, pure hip hop, head nodding type vibe. You know what I'm saying? Make you feel like you in a cipher. But yet at the same time, we are not compromising those principles. It's still gonna be integrity, character, and excellence. And we want to create that lane. We want to be an entity where they can say there is an urban music label out there that does not subscribe to that agenda. You know what I mean? And
No
and and
doubt.
I'm not talking about, oh, a label that have maybe one or two artists that's conscious and everybody else is on a total pay. No, I'm talking about the entire organization is on that.
No
That's
doubt.
where the power is. Of course, they're gonna let a couple sprinkle here and there because they know they ain't really gonna make no noise because it's just them. But their money is pushing something total. You know, most of their money is going to the contrary. No, I'm talking about a total movement where we are gonna basically rebirth the spirit of Public Enemy. We're gonna bring that spirit back where Public Enemy can bring out whole communities behind them with their fists in the air, getting behind this music that is positive and uplifting to our people. You understand? Now we're not so much on the militant side of it, but we are about bringing positive music and influence to our people. So when these ice principles are going worldwide, we already popping overseas, man. We already got
I
young
seen
kids
the videos, bro.
yeah, man.
I
Listen,
seen it. What
we
was it
already
like?
got
Chinese or
yeah,
somebody was
man.
dancing to your
Listen,
song, man. I seen that.
you know why? Because the reality is, if you really do a survey and you really do the research, man, people who love hip hop, they love hip hop, man, but they don't necessarily love all that negativity. The only reason they listen to it is because that's all they got. That's all
Mm.
the people, that's all the industry is pushing out there. And I know there's some people out there who say, well, what about gospel? What about gospel rap? Unfortunately, brother, that is, how can I say, the gospel arena is almost like an industry by itself, where it has been created in a way to where it is marketed for people who can identify with that lifestyle. That's why everything has the title Christian before it. You understand? Christian. Like for example, when you hear BET, Black Entertainment Television, and you're white, do you think that station is for you? No,
Absolutely not.
right? You won't think that's for you because why? You called it Black Entertainment Television. So if you call something Christian music and you're not a Christian, or you don't even believe in that, or you don't even care about that, or you're not even on a spiritual journey at all, you automatically going to say, well, that's for the Christians because that's what they call it. So the marketing behind Christian music and gospel music, they have created a wall between the rest of the industry and themselves, to where the people that are gravitated towards that is only believers, or 90% believers, 95% believers. And that's who shows up to the concerts. That's who buys the music. So you can't say that that's the solution when we have created, when that genre has created a system of segregation from everybody else. So it's about what the people are feeding, being fed. It's about what the people are attracted to, what the people are connected to. And what are they connected to? Hip hop, R&B. Point blank, period. Hip hop and R&B. So if hip hop and R&B has the influence, hip hop and R&B has because influence equals power. And so if hip hop and R&B has the influence and the power dictates the mindset of the culture, then if you want the influence and the power, where you got to be? You got to be where the influence is at and where the power is at. And the influence and power is in hip hop and R&B. Unfortunately, the gospel music has no influence in the general culture. It has influence in the church culture, but not in the general culture. I can't go to the trap or to the dope hole right now and tell these guys there's a concert going down, a Christian concert or a gospel concert going down up the road, and expect them to get excited about it. Or no even I can't.
No doubt.
I can't.
You speaking the truth, bro. Fact.
I can't. I'm just being real. I can't talk to them. I can't talk to them about the latest gospel artist and think they finna get. Oh, I can't wait to get that CD. Or I can't wait. They ain't. No. They barely spend their money on the regular stuff. They definitely ain't finna spend their money on that. And it's not going to be appealing to them. Why? Because they can't identify. That's not their lifestyle. So the marketing behind that whole genre has created a wall between the rest of the world, what they consider the secular arena, and them. That's why there's no influence in the secular world. But that's where the power is. That's where the direction is. That's where these young people are going. So that's where I want to be. I want to be where the influence and the power is, man, because that's what's going to create change. You know, instead of creating all these subgenres that become like these little individualized cultish type of arenas, I want to be where the people are. I want to be where the power is. I want to be where people are paying attention. You understand what I'm saying? You
what I'm saying? No doubt. No doubt. You guys are definitely doing that over there.
That's what I want to be, man. And another point to that too, if you look at even with the radio programming, if you say, okay, I don't want to do that music, so the only option is gospel, which most people think that. They think if it's not positive, if it's not negative, it has to be gospel. But if you do make that choice, guess what? When it comes to radio programming, they don't even put you in the regular rotation where the other people who are not in that are not connected to that are listening. They put you in a time slot where they know nobody else but the church people are listening. They're gonna play you Sunday morning when all of the club people, all of the people that don't went to the club are asleep, all of the gangbangers and all of the dope boys are asleep. They're gonna play you Sunday morning where only grandma and them is listening. And they're gonna give you your own special segment. They're not gonna put you with everybody else where the people who really need to hear that message is listening. So it's like it doesn't have any influence, not on the people that really need it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we don't go that route. We are deep and embedded and invested in hip hop culture directly because that's where the power and influence is. You know, and we will bring change. We will bring change. You will be hearing about ICE, those ICE principles all over the world. Mark my words. It's already starting. As you see overseas, man, we popping. And we got some other countries now that's getting ready to open up to us too. So, you know, this is the vision God has given me. It's not traditional, you know what I mean? It's a little contrary to those who say they are men of God would go. But listen, we are in perilous times, you know, and perilous times call for, you know, desperate measures and different mindsets and different strategies. You know what I'm saying? I want to be where the people are. You feel me?
That's what I'm talking about. Definitely, man. Well, I definitely appreciate your ministry, man, and the young people lives that you are touching. So we getting ready to close out here. So that being said, man, tell everybody how they can, you know, get in contact with you and also let them know about your upcoming release party, the date and time, and, you know, all those wonderful things like that.
All right. So Ramel the Youngster is next up. His official solo career launch is coming. He is a new voice for this generation. Total different mindset. Ice for life. The boy is a beast. Serious lyricist. Crazy spitter. Totally different style. All his own. His single release party is an online release party, so everybody in the world is invited, so that everybody can tune in at the same time on the Ice Squad Entertainment Facebook page on May 24th at 8:30 p.m. Make sure you tune in so you can get the first preview of his new record. I won't reveal what it is, but everybody in the listening party will be able to check it out. The actual release of it will be June 1st, and it's going to be his official solo career launch. You can follow us on our website, icesquadent.com. That's our hub. You can go, it'll take you everywhere, to our merch, to our tour schedule, everything, videos, you name it, everything is there. We also do printing. We also do photography. We do web design. We have a lot of different services that we offer for entertainment professionals. So go to our website and check that out. Social media at iSquadENT1, at iSquadRap. Follow Ramel at ROMMEL_TY. And you can follow me, Popp the Rippa, at POPPDARIPPA. And yeah, man, follow the movement, man. We need the people's support. This cannot work without the people. Just like the people get behind all that negativity, let's take that same energy and put it behind something positive. Don't just complain about it. Get involved. How do you get involved? By supporting those on the front line. And that's us, Ice Squad Entertainment. Let's go.
Indeed, that's what's up. So I want to send a shout out to let's see, Mary Costa, thank you for tuning in. Monica, Jaquez, my brother, Nigel, Rochester, New York in the building, Destiny Whitmore, my sister Dee Dee, Carla Kemp, Mama Odessa, my auntie Queen Esther Young, Ruben Freeman, SB General, my good brother Harold D. Washington, my good brother Reginald Orr in the building, my good sister Tammy Buckley, Shemuel Douglas in the building, and also we thank everybody else, anybody that I overlooked, Robin, you know, thank you for tuning in, you know, so we appreciate it, family. So if I miss you, hey, you know what I'm saying, it's still love here. We thank you all for taking out your time to listen. Make sure you follow our good brother Popp, the Ripper. You know, make sure you follow him on Instagram. You know, go check them out. You know, I definitely went on there. They got some powerful content. You know, I'm telling you, you won't be, you will not be disappointed. I promise you that. I promise you. I promise you, straight up. You know, I'm from New York, so I know hip hop. Trust and believe that. Born and raised upstate New York, Rochester, New York. Although some people in New York City may try to play me, but it's all good. Upstate New York in the building. So, fam, hey, listen, you all have a blessed evening. And again, make sure that you follow them also on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? YouTube. Check them out on YouTube as well. Okay, fam? All right, we love y'all. Peace, love, power.
Peace. Thank you, brother.
Welcome.